My friend, let me ask you something straight, no filters, no judgment. How many times have you done something just because everyone else said it was normal? How many times have you followed a trend without really stopping to think about what it means for you, your body, your confidence? I know it sounds like a simple question, almost uncomfortable, but that's exactly why it matters. Because sometimes the smallest habits reveal the biggest patterns in how we treat ourselves. And if you've ever felt unsure, pressured, or even a little insecure about your own choices, then stay with me. This is not just about what you do physically. It's about how you think, how you decide, and how you respect yourself. And before we go any further, if you value honest conversations like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because we talk about real life here, no masks, no pretending. I've been there, questioning myself, wondering if I was doing things the right way, especially when it comes to my own body. I used to think that fitting in meant doing what everyone else was doing, even when it didn't feel completely right. And that creates a silent pressure, the kind that doesn't scream, but whispers doubts into your mind. I started realizing that confidence doesn't come from copying others, it comes from understanding myself. When I began to pay attention to what actually made sense for me, instead of blindly following trends, I felt a shift. It wasn't just about appearance anymore, it was about awareness. I began to see that every decision I make is a reflection of how much I respect myself. And that changed everything, because instead of reacting to the world, I started responding with intention. There was a moment when I understood that my body isn't something I should fight against, but something I should work with. I used to ignore the natural functions of my body, thinking they were inconvenient or even undesirable. But the truth is, everything has a purpose. When I started to learn and reflect, I realized that many things we try to remove or change are actually there to protect us. That awareness brought a new level of respect. Instead of acting out of impulse or insecurity, I began to act out of understanding. And that's powerful, because when you understand why something exists, you stop treating it like a problem and start seeing it as part of your system. That shift in mindset creates confidence that doesn't depend on trends, opinions, or approval. It comes from knowledge, and knowledge builds control. I also had to face the consequences of rushing decisions. There were times when I acted without thinking, just wanting quick results, quick changes, quick satisfaction. But quick doesn't always mean better. In fact, many times, it leads to discomfort, irritation, or even bigger problems later. That taught me patience. I learned that taking care of myself requires attention, not urgency. When I slowed down and started making more mindful choices, I noticed how much better I felt, physically and mentally. It's like I stopped fighting against myself and started cooperating with my own body. And that cooperation builds trust. Trust in your own decisions, trust in your own rhythm. When you trust yourself, you don't need constant validation from others. You move with certainty, even when no one is watching. Another thing I had to learn was balance. Because let's be real, it's not about extremes. It's not about doing everything or doing nothing. It's about finding what works for you without causing harm. I used to think I had to choose one side completely, but life doesn't work like that. There's always a middle ground where you can take care of yourself without overdoing it. When I found that balance, things became simpler. I stopped overthinking every decision and started focusing on consistency instead. Small, smart choices over time create better results than extreme actions done once. And this applies to everything in life, not just this topic. When you respect your limits and understand your needs, you create a routine that supports you instead of draining you. And finally, I realized that no one else lives in my body but me. That might sound obvious, but think about it. Why should someone else's opinion have more weight than my own experience? I had to take ownership of my choices, without guilt, without fear of judgment. That's where real confidence is built. Not in perfection, not in following trends, but in making decisions that align with who you are. When you take responsibility for yourself, you stop being influenced so easily. You become more grounded, more aware, more in control. And that control doesn't come from forcing things, it comes from understanding them. So whatever you choose, make sure it's your choice, not something you were pushed into. Because at the end of the day, self-respect is built in the quiet moments, in the decisions no one else sees, but that shape who you become.